All right, slice and dice time. Here we go. We got melee, slice, Venator's knife, another slice. Let's get some moaning winds going. Moaning winds 1, moaning winds 2, cleared them all. Feel like a proper trickster assassin with this build. What's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. My name is Ben Lee. I make multiple videos on Outriders every single week. Tips, tricks, guides, builds, you name it. And I also stream 4 to 5 times a week right here on YouTube, and the support there has been absolutely incredible. So if any of that sounds good to you, go down and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and importantly hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And don't be like Dave here. Come on Dave, you can do it. But with all of that out of the way, guys, this is my AP Trickster Slice and Dice build. It's absolutely incredible all round. You're very tanky, you've got mega damage, and also a good bit of CC with the mods that I've chosen here. So if you're looking for an AP Trickster build to be able to breeze through CT15 content, then look no further because this is the build for you. It's got a really awesome high damage playstyle and also offers the unique perspective of the Trickster being able to teleport around. So high mobility, high damage. As I said, with the mods that we've got, we're very tanky, so you won't have any problems with this build surviving. And there's also a reasonable amount of flexibility with the mods, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's start here with our skills. Alright guys, so looking at our skills, we are using Temporal Blade, Venator's Knife, and Hunt the Prey. These scale very well with our skill tree and is an amazing combination using all of them. It also is a really nice playstyle. It gives you loads of mobility, and the fact that all of these are on very short cooldowns is very, very nice to play with. So Temporal Blade is our main damage skill, inflicting paralysis, an absolute whack of damage when your AP scales up with this build, as well as inflicting slow and interrupting, so it's very, very nice skill. Venator's Knife, you're mainly using this for the slow, and for the first damage dealt will be doubled. This also buffs up your AP with the skill tree, so it's a really good CC as well as dealing with double damage, and it's very, very important. Hunt the Prey, this is very nice for getting you around the battlefield. It also gives you a shield and also buffs your AP as well with the nodes we have in the skill tree. So coming over to the class tree, this is the route that I've taken down here. Basically coming down, picking up things like resistance piercing, anomaly siphoning, activating your melee skill increases your anomaly power by 30% for 5 seconds, so putting melees into your rotation is really strong. Coming down here, we've got counter shield, activating your deception skill, boost your anomaly power by 50%. This is the buff that we get for the Venator's Knife. Coming over here as well, activating a movement skill, increases your anomaly power by 50% again, so that's with Hunt the Prey. So you've already got 100% buff with these and a 30% buff with your melee. Coming down here, when your damage skill ends, increase your anomaly power by 50% again, another 50% buff here. And this is great because you actually have 2 of the temporal blades, so you can get the buff for this for the second blade, which is very, very strong. Up here with Leap, you've got activating movement skill, increases your resistance piercing by 25%, which is really important with one of the mods that we've got. And we've got Scion here. At the end of any damage skill, increase your armor piercing by 30% and your resistance piercing by 25%. So we have tons of resistance piercing between this node, we got 10% there, we've got 10% there. And then at the end here, for each enemy in close range, your anomaly power is increased by 10%. So very, very strong. Coming down for the Reaver tree. Moving on to our inventory, we are using a Funeral Pyre here with Fortress and Shadow Comet. This is a combination that I absolutely love. I play with it on loads of my builds. Shadow Comet, you fire 1 bullet, but with shotguns, obviously when you fire, it fires a spread of bullets. And each one of those pellets, as they spread out, if it hits a unique target, will cool down its own unique Shadow Comet. So you can actually fire this into a group of enemies and get like 3 to 4. And if you're super lucky, about 5 Shadow Comets come down and it will just completely wipe out enemies. But it's also really good because of the fact that it interrupts and it staggers. Fortress is also absolutely amazing because you receive up to a 43% damage bonus based on your armor. And you only need about kind of 40-50k to receive this. So it's not hard to get, but it gives you a 43% damage bonus across everything that you do, and Fortress you can get on a death shield. So an absolute incredible mod, and it really lifts this build right up. Coming down here, we've got an Anomaly with Moaning Winds and Fortress. Moaning Winds is very, very strong. It's really, really useful on this build as well for being able to clear out the trash mobs when your skills are on cooldown, or the fact that it just hits everything around you, whereas Temporal Blade just hits things in front of you. So anything behind that you might have missed with your slashes, Moaning Winds can clear them up. And then coming down here, we've got Moaning Winds and Clip Combustion again on our pistol. Moving over to the armor, we've gone with the Edge of Time set, and the set bonus for this one down the bottom is increased damage for Temporal Blade by 100% and Cyclone Slice by 100%. We're not currently using Cyclone Slice in this build. I actually prefer the setup that it is now. I have tried Cyclone Slice and it is effective, but I just prefer this setup, so this is what I've gone with for this build here. But with this, we're using the mod Double Slice, and this is Temporal Blade. Damaged enemies are additionally cut with an Anomaly Slice dealing 50% damage. So how this mod works is when you slash an enemy, it will go into a paralysis state first, and then after a couple of seconds, it will do the initial damage, and then a couple of seconds after that, you'll get a 50% damage hit just come up. There's no animation or anything for this, which is a bit odd. So it's a really, really strong mod, and I highly recommend using it. So then on here as well, I've got temporal armor. So boost your armor by 50% for each affected enemy, lasts 8 seconds, and stacks up to 8 times. It's an incredibly strong mod for armor, and you basically start hitting armor count with this. If you don't want to use it or you don't have it yet, then temporal armor can be switched out for damage absorber. Damage absorber will be absolutely amazing for this build anyway. It's on all the time, it's very passive, and it's very strong. So if you don't have temporal armor or you don't want to use it, then try out using damage absorber. Temporal armor here can also be found on the boots of the Edge of Time, which can be bought from Tiago. Coming down to the chest piece here, I've gone with Anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and skills life leech. I really think these are the best in slot for this. You don't need things like status power. Skills life leech is absolutely amazing for that, and Anomaly power and cooldown reduction are the most important too. I've gone here radiation jump, so hunt the prey, inflicts vulnerable to enemy you teleport behind. So if you can aim it to the elites, captains, and bosses, you're going to be putting vulnerable on for you and your team, and just do an extra 15% damage, which is very strong on here. The second mod I've got here is Circle of Power, so boost your resistance by 15% every time you use a skill, stacks up to 3 times, and deteriorates every 7 seconds. So because our skills are on such low cooldown, and the fact that we weave melees into our rotation, which counts as a skill, you're going to have this up 100% of the time. So you're going to have 45% resistance all the time. That combined with temporal armor here makes you unbelievably tanky. It's not an essential mod, and you could change it around. There are different options that you could use, but I found that using Circular Power and Temporal Armor made me so tanky that it was just an absolute breeze. This build is very well balanced across the board with damage, CC, and defense, that you're going to be able to breeze through all content without having to worry. But you could easily take off Circular Power and put on some more mods, and I'll go through some of the other mods that you can change around this a bit later on in the video. And Circular Power can be found on the leg armor of the cannibal here. Coming down to the pants here, we have Unstoppable Force, so increase your Anomaly power by 50% of your resistance piercing. This is the mod that I said was very, very strong. When you come over to the class tree and you're using resistance piercing here with leap, you're also getting extra resistance piercing here on this node and this node. Scaling up all of that resistance gives you a ton of Anomaly power. Combined with when you use your skills, you can actually hit Anomaly power of like 800k plus, which is absolutely insane, and the damage just goes through the roof. Now this mod is actually a Pyromancer mod and drops on the hands of the Reforge. However, you can buy this from Tiago with a Pyromancer. You can then swap this for your stash and give it to your Trickster. On here as well, we have Strong Slice. This is a really good mod and comes on the pants of the Edge of Time anyway. So you're just boosting the damage of your temporal blades, and that's the one I would choose to leave on your pants. Coming down to gloves here, I've chosen to use the Edge of Time gloves, and this is because it comes with Cut Loose, which reduces the skill cooldown by 20%. Very, very strong mod, and I think it's one of the mandatory ones in this. I know it comes with max health, but you do have cooldown reduction in skills life leech, but it is very, very strong using this, so I highly recommend using the gloves and keeping on Cut Loose. I've then put on Captain Hunter, and Captain Hunter can be found on the Gauntlets of the Cannibal here. It boosts your damage against elites by 25%, and it's just a very strong mod. It's solid in this build, and I highly recommend putting it in. Then coming down to the boots here, we've got Anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and unfortunately I've got long range damage on this. Ideally I'd want to have skills life leech, but I do have long range damage, and I still do really well. I'm still very tanky. My damage is still through the roof, so if you can find one with skill life leech, that's better. But on here I've got Slasher, so Temporal Blade. The skill can be activated one more time before triggering cooldown. Absolutely mandatory mod. This just puts your damage output through the roof, because obviously you get 2 temporal blades. And then the other one I've got on here is Boomerang Blades, and this one can be found on Mr. Otara's waistcloth here. Now what this does is, with Venator's knife, after the initial ricochet, the knife will repeat its path and damage enemies for a second time. The good thing about this one is it also remarks enemies for another 10 seconds, so the first damage dealt will be doubled, so you can get that off twice. So one of 2 things are going to happen, as long as there's a couple of mobs around, is when you use your temporal blade and then I throw on Venator's knife afterwards, when the damage hits, you're going to be doubling the first bit of damage that you have when the slice hits, but the main hit But then after that as well, it's either going to double the damage from the double slice here. So the second hit will either go from, say, a 500k up to a million, which is very common to hit just with the 50% one. But if it takes a bit longer to go round, you can actually get the double damage from the second slice that you do. So it's very common with this build to be able to slice when they've got Venator's Knife on and hit like 2.5, sometimes even going up to like 3 million with the first hit, and then the 50% hit will come in for like 500k. Then if Venator's Knife bounces round and the timing is correct and it comes on them again, you can slice them again and get another kind of 2.5 to 3 million hit, which is insanely strong. Boomerang Blades is a bit situational, but it also gives you a lot more CC because it bounces around twice and it slows enemies twice. So it's defensive and offensive, and I actually really like having it in the build. However, it's not mandatory. But if I slow this clip down that I did a minute ago, you can see there's a shadow comet there. I'm waiting on the cooldown for Hunt the Prey. I jump in, I use a melee to get a buff. I then use Temporal Slice. The damage is delayed from that, so then I throw my Venator's Knife. It consumes the buff pretty much straight away. It bounces around, and then here it comes up again, and you're getting another like 1.3 million damage there, as well as the 2.6 I think it was million damage from the first hit. And it just allows you to save your second Temporal Slice for some more enemies here. So then we do another one here, and because we've already got the buffs and things running, then it just takes them all out anyway. But that's the rotation I like to use. I like to use Hunt the Prey to inflict vulnerable, then melee, then use my first slice, then throw Venator's Knife, which will proc the damage from the first one because of the delay, then use my second slice if I need to afterwards, especially on like captains or brood mothers. You're not going to kill them straight away like the captain I did a second ago. So that's the rotation I use. All right, guys, so as always, just because I'm really nice, I'll even take the time to bring up all the mods for you on screen in just a second. However, after that, I will also bring up some alternative mods in case you want to get more damage and take out some of the defensive mods. Here's all the mods that I currently use here. And remember, if you like this, remember to go down and like the video. So with the other mods you can use, you have Power Assimilation, which boosts your Anomaly power for each elite present on the battlefield. Then you've got No Resistance Against the Fortified, which increases your resistance piercing by 50% of your armor piercing. And then Anomaly Echo, which just increases your Anomaly power as well. On skill activation, 15 seconds. And then another interesting one, Double Stop there. That doubles the length of the paralysis and is basically just for CC in case you want to become more of a co-op supportive kind of build. Alright guys, so that's the build there. You can see there's a bit of flexibility here. Once you get the rotation down, it's absolutely incredible. Very tanky, loads of damage, good CC, a really fun playstyle with super low cooldowns, which is great. So I hope you have fun with this build as much as I did. But I also want to give a shout out to the Discord that we've got going on. We've got nearly 900 members in there now of you awesome people that are super respectful and just super nice. You guys are doing an absolutely amazing job. Thank you so much for all the carries and things that you do. I love you to pieces. So remember, if you want to join an outstanding community of amazing gamers, hit up the link in the description and join the Discord. There's also the looking for group in there and looking for carry groups, which are always super active. People helping each other out with builds as well as CT runs and CT farming. But come on in and make use of the voice channels. They're completely free and extremely useful to be able to talk with people properly. Don't use the rubbish in-game matchmaking system where you might be paired with someone who's not doing the same content that you want to do. Join the Discord, make a group and play Outriders as intended. Remember, if you want to see more of this, then check out the channel. I do stream right here on YouTube 4 to 5 times a week, which is absolutely amazing. They're very active and loads of fun. As well as that, I've got tons of builds on the channel now. So if you want to see any other playstyles or any other builds that will get you through CT15 content really easily, then remember to go and check out those builds. And if you like the video, give it a like and consider subscribing. We're not too far off 5k subscribers now, which is absolutely amazing. The growth has been massive. But I'll leave you here with the rest of this chem plant run that I did. It's not a perfect run, but I still absolutely breezed through it and I had an absolute blast doing it. So anyway, guys, until the next one, hope you've at least learned something. And I also hope you have a very nice day. See you now.